Hi, I hope that's in focus. I'll do a little fit check. I just got I just got these for Christmas. They rock. I wanted to talk about feeling unlovable and feeling like there's something wrong with you, feeling rejected. Here's the deal, the more you put yourself out there, the more you apply to things, the more you go out of your comfort zone, yes, you're gonna have more rejection. Yes, you're gonna have more things that maybe give your self-esteem a little hit, but it can make us believe things about ourselves that aren't necessarily true. And I was thinking about this recently. I got rejected from something and I was just feeling so unwanted, so unlovable, so like I wasn't an essential part of anything, like I didn't matter, whatever. And I'm not saying this for sympathy, because it's, I think, something that we all deal with at one point or another, whether we talk about it or not. And I just feel like something I want to work on in 2024 is having a more solid self-esteem, because so often we put other people, we put experiences on a pedestal so high above ourselves that when it's unattainable or when we get rejected, it hurts so much more. And also, I've mentioned this before, but every time you get rejected, it sort of reaffirms everything you already believe about yourself, and it can be so easy to assume that the reason you got rejected is because of this thing that you're already insecure about. And so I kind of look like Shirley Temple with this, or like the swimmers in Annie. The synchronized swimmers. I'm sorry I said that. I started running recently, so I've been going for a lot of runs. I've had a couple crying runs, and I just have felt some of the most worthless feelings, feelings of being worthless. And I just had to take a step back and give myself the same advice that I would give anyone else in my situation. I have a friend who went through something similar, and I had been talking to him literally the day before I got rejected, and I was like, just because some people or some organizations don't see how wonderful you are doesn't get rid of all the love and affection that so many people have for you. And it's not about quantity, it's about knowing that no matter how you feel about yourself, there's people out there who care about you and who love you, and they might even be people you haven't even met yet. But we can tear ourselves down by making ourselves believe that we're less than, or that someone else is above us, when really everyone should be equal, you know what I mean? Say you have a crush on someone and they don't like you back. This has happened to me so many times, and it's just part of life. Every time I go through this, my mom's like, that's why it's called dating. And I was like, I don't really fully understand what that means, but it's just part of life, and it sucks. But because it's part of life, it means that I have given a lot of people advice about this thing. We just have to give ourselves the same grace and compassion that we give other people, because just because you feel like you're not good enough doesn't say any, the way you are is changing, the way you are is not changing regardless of how you feel about yourself. You know what I mean? You could be, say you're at this neutral base level. Whether you feel terrible about that level or feel great about that level is staying the same. You know what I mean? And that's your inherent worth as a human being. And I think it can just be easy to get sucked into the validation machine. And what I mean by that is, this is a little bit of a shift in topics, but it's so easy to let how we see ourselves rest in the hands of other people, or an institution, or a grade that we might get, or basically to evaluate ourselves and our worth based on things that are external. And you just can't do that, because the external is fleeting, you know? No matter what it is, you can lose it. And that's why you gotta base it on something that's kind of internal and who you are, because you're gonna take yourself with you everywhere you go. And I think you'll find that as someone who has achieved some of my biggest dreams at various points in my life, talking about when my biggest dream was getting into the musical, or getting into the audition only choir, whatever, you think that once you have this thing, you're gonna be happy and everything's just gonna line up, and finally you'll feel good. And you might at first, but you'll find that a lot of experiences that you think are gonna be completely world-changing for you actually aren't, and actually might not be as amazing as you thought they would be. When I think about getting into a college or whatever, you get in and you feel yay! but then life mostly stays the same. You just can't let the feelings that you get from the outside world decide how you feel about yourself, because you have a bias, and generally when we have a bias about ourselves, it's a negative bias. And it's like if someone was really, really mean to you and saying really mean things to you, you'd be like, fuck off, like, you're so annoying. Like, and that's also not even true. But when it's you doing it to yourself, you're like, she has a point. So just because you feel unlovable, or just because you feel like you're not good enough, doesn't mean that those things are true. And I love you. And I don't know why I'm saying that. But just know that no matter what, you are loved. So